What up, my guy? What up, my guys? On to another show, man. It's NBA Talk with Jay Money. We got our guy Shark Sports. We got our guy Punt School with us as well, man. Punt, like, I'm just gonna sit here and chill, and I'm just gonna vibe through the music, man. Shark, look over at Shark. He going ham on the violin. What's up with you, Shark? Everything cool with you, my brother? How you been, man?
Absolutely. Taking a breath, as I would say. It's a little workout. We like to do it. It is a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday afternoon here on the East Coast, 5:03 p.m. Eastern. Josh in Australia, let me tell you one thing right now. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Paul Pierce was playing 12 years ago. He inspired you to become a fan. How you feeling today on a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning in Australia?
Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. It's almost tip-off time. Feeling ready, feeling a little bit nervous naturally, but feeling good largely. I'm pretty confident in this team over the course of the full series. Obviously, game 1 is such a small fragment of that, so completely different in its entirety. But yeah, I like this Celtics team a lot, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Josh. I'm a big Celtics fan as well. I believe in the bubble when they Game 7 versus the Toronto Raptors, my biggest single bet ever. We cashed that one, so I love this team forever. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown feel like my brothers. I kind of know this team psychologically. I know how they fare, how they fare versus certain teams. I can't wait for this series, game to game, go back and forth, zigzag maybe, but it's all business here, guys. We're already kind of talking about the games, so let's do it. We got the first game up, Eastern Finals here, game 1. We got the Celtics here, just outlasted the Milwaukee Bucks, guys, in 7 games. They're getting 2 points in the first game of this series. They're minus 170 favorites for the series, but they're underdog here in the first game. I wonder why Heat here land 2 in this first game. 8:30 Eastern tip here, Shark. We got a total of 204. Is this 90s style basketball? Is this early 2000 here? We got a total of 204. Surprised there's not 234 here, but it's mainly largely because of the Heat and their defense, right? Probably the best defensive team remaining in the playoffs there, even though the Dallas Mavericks will give them a run for their money with that. But this Heat team, this Heat defense, Shark, is a lot different from the Bucks because they actually have some perimeter defenders to go up against the dogs for the Celtics, but they don't necessarily have the rim protection like the Bucks had. The Bucks they had 3 7-footers starting all 3 of them, and we saw the Celtics kind of struggle with that for the first game as well. And another snapshot to Udoka kind of having to take a game, have a game under his belt as well to kind of figure out the other team. They've only had 1 day off from coming to game 7. This is damn near a schedule loss, a spot for me. The Celtics, they know they just need to go over there and steal one of these games, Shark. It's probably not going to be this one. How you looking at this game 1, my brother?
Yeah, this game's tough for me. Actually, Josh and I had discussed this at pretty decent length in a private discussion, which of course led to great results throughout the regular season campaign. But this for me is difficult, and there's a lot to discuss. Of course, we can go through multiple rounds of this conversation. The first thing that I am looking at here, this is a Miami line. If you go through the regular season, go way back early season before, of course, Boston caught any flow. At that point, they were under 500. They were fledgling. People were questioning, is Ime right? Is Brad Stevens right in the front office? He's a failed coach. Can he do this or that? They told you one story, 95-78, authoritative victory in Miami on that given day. It came back a little later in Boston. Boston minus 6.5, a strong figure, but Jimmy Butler did not play in that game. That was actually a sandwich game for Miami. They had just lost to Toronto in triple overtime in the previous game, and they had Toronto the following night. It was a sandwich front-end back-to-back spot where they sat their guys. 122-92 Boston blowout. Then it came back shorter in Boston, -5 off a 6.5 blowout. Line told a story. Miami did get there for the first time all year, 106-98. Now you come back, you get a huge line jump. You get a jump from +5 to -2. It's telling you a great story here for Miami. I wouldn't disagree with the Miami take here. I have a few more angles. I'll throw it to Josh, who's going to drop an official, and then we'll come back around. A couple more things to discuss.
Yeah, I am on Miami here. And like I said, I'm kind of bullish on Boston to win the series as a whole. But the game 1 environment for Boston is difficult off of just the 1-day rest and the rest advantage that points obviously to the Heat, but more so the adjustments that come with it. And like Jay said, we're talking about a Heat team that defends at a very high level, defends the perimeter at a very high level. making those offensive adjustments in such a short period of time and having to change your offensive scheme is really, really difficult. And I don't think that they're going to quite be ready to do that just yet. It's going to take time for Ime Udoka to come up with a plan that sort of fits what Miami's running. And there's going to be situations out there where I think the Celtics are going to look a little bit lost offensively as a result. We know their ball movement is great, but we're talking about a team who quite literally figured out Milwaukee's defense. They knew exactly what they had to do, how to generate the open looks on the perimeter. You know, you can't just go and run the same thing against an entirely different scheme and against a team who we've seen the Miami Heat as well defensively. They run a zone and a man-to-man, and they change every other possession. They flip-flop what they give you possession to possession, and that makes it so difficult for an offense to find any sort of rhythm as a result. So for me, I think that, there's just going to be a little bit of growing pains into this series for Boston, and that's probably going to come to the fore early in game one, where Miami's going to be able to play from in front, and I just don't think that the Celtics can quite run them down in this environment. So a game one road environment as well, very different to a game three road environment, which is what Boston's been facing in these first two rounds so far. The only other thing I'll add as well, since Jimmy Butler arrived in Miami, Eric Spoelstra and Butler, they are 6-1 ATS in game one of a playoff series. The only time they didn't cover game one of a series in the bubble, the NBA Finals against the Lakers, where they were pretty banged up and they were the ones at a rest disadvantage. Every other time they've gone out and got the job done to start a series. I think they do the same again here today at home.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And so look at this, guys. You look at the emotional standpoint here. It's how I like to look at these games psychologically. You're coming off 2 game sevens, not just one of them. You had to win game 6 as well. It was absolute must-win spot going on the road. It's only one day in between these games, guys. Then you have to gear back up, go home, and win an all or nothing. You see what I'm saying? Where Jaylen Brown saying we had to leave it all out there on the floor. That's actually them getting over a speed bump as well. The Bucks have been a speed bump for the Celtics. They weren't able to get past them. Finally over getting to that hump. Getting over that hump, I do think it'll be a slight letdown here in this game. I could see these guys coming out flat as a pancake. I think that they'll be ready for the game, but they're just not used to that Heat defense. You're not used to playing that sticky style defense. It can kind of smack you in the face. I see the Heat being up here by double digits at the end of the first quarter and not looking back in this game. Obviously, the Heat need to shoot well from three guys like Struss and Vincent. And I'll be honest with you, if they had 100% Kyle Lowry, I'd be on the Heat to win this series, but they don't. Right now, while he's injured, it's better off. It's addition by subtraction, not having him out there. On the flip side of it, this could be, for at least for the beginning of the series, a turning point. The Celtics don't really have a true point guard, and even with Marcus Smart, he has a sprained foot as well that he did in game 7. He kept playing, but he's not 100% right now, so he could possibly hurt the team tonight. But it's kind of crazy. If Smart sat out and then White was the starting point guard, that actually might be good for the Celtics because he can distribute a lot better. So be interested to see what happens in this one. But it's kind of crazy because Smart is not a true point guard, but he is their best defender. So they need him out there on the floor. But against this Heat defense, you're going to need an actual facilitator out here, Shark.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, one of the most noteworthy games where Marcus Smart did not play in the last series was home game 2, an absolute slaughterhouse trifecta J Money special, which, of course, Josh and I also had for 2 units that day. When he doesn't play, it doesn't necessarily mean bad things for Boston. We don't know exactly. One counterpoint, which is why I'm not on Miami for the game, and I want to be on Miami. This is why I'm telling you the under is probably the best look for me. When I look at the psychology of this, I do think there's another side to this. Boston is 0-2 in the first game of a 7-game series in this playoffs, but both environments were vastly different than this. Both were home games. Both were as a favorite. And both were off of long breaks for Boston coming in. In round 1, Boston had been off for a week during the play-in game, and off of a sweep against Brooklyn, they were off for a long period of time before they lost to Milwaukee outright in the first game. So now you ask yourself a question. Does it reverse for them, where now they're a road dog, they're not off 5 days of rest, they're still in some sort of flow? And I've said this in the playoffs, and I don't know how sharp this is. There's just a general thought I have. Fatigue in the playoffs is not regular season fatigue. This team's not on the 3rd and 4 road back-to-back. They're on normal travel. It is just game off, game off, even though it is a 7-game series. So the emotional fatigue is huge. I don't disagree at all. They did just play a game 7, and prior to that, an effective game 7. So the emotional fatigue is huge. The bodily fatigue may not be that big, particularly if you look at game 7. They didn't really do a whole lot in game 7. They shot the lights out of the gym with 3 balls. That wasn't really a huge physical burn on them. And one final point, Miami home game 1 in the playoffs this year. Atlanta is not Boston. That's all I'll say. And in the second round, Philadelphia had showcased in the first round an inability to travel games 1 through 4 to Toronto. And they did the same thing against Miami. So again, Miami number, but this Boston spot for me is a little hard to figure out because we haven't seen them in this environment yet in the playoffs in a game 1. Josh, any further comments?
Yeah, the only other thing I'll add is I like the under here as well. I played that too to go with Miami. I think there's a correlation for me between Miami winning and covering and this staying under the total. If it's going to be high scoring in a shootout, it's only going to serve Boston better, in my opinion, because their offense, I think, has a little bit more to them. In terms of what they can produce, especially when it comes to finding rhythm and getting hot from beyond the arc, if that is the case. So I like the underlook here as well. I got on that one early, 205.5. I still like it at current market, to be honest. It has moved a little bit, but this series sets up to be an absolute rock fight of a series. It's going to be grit and grind type basketball. It's going to be half court sets. It's going to be late shot clock situations for both teams. So opportunities to score, I don't think will be quite as consistent as what they have been for both these sides in previous series. And, when it comes down to the little things, those second chance opportunities, those offensive boards, neither one of those teams necessarily going to generate a whole lot of those either. So, it's going to be a lot of one and done possessions, which makes it very difficult to clear, even a low total like this, which is sitting, in the low 200s.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's gonna be a tough game. We might see some 199, the total in the 190s, man. You see a couple of huge unders here. I could definitely see it. I'm with you guys. This is a totally defensive game. If it's not, obviously nothing's guaranteed, guys. The Celtics could come out here and bring some of that momentum from the last series into this game. I don't see it happening. They did win the first game 1. They didn't cover. I don't think they covered the spread, but regardless, at least they're 1-1 in game 1s here. So at least if they had lost both game 1s, then I could possibly see it flipping. That's a good point, Shark. Obviously those game 1s were at the house, but this one on the road in Miami is going to be pretty tough. The Heat could come out not making shots. Whichever team is making their threes will get the win here, but that's the thing for the Celtics as well. They're going up against a totally different style of defense here, and they're going to have, in my opinion, it's going to take some getting used to here. So I'd be surprised the Heat not come out locked in defensively. It really doesn't even matter about the offense to me. You win championships with defense because it doesn't matter how bad, how good, how on or off you are offensively. As long as you can stop the other team and keep them from doing what they need to, you'll have a chance to win. So the way I'm looking at it, the Heat's defense should really come out here locked in. And the Celtics kind of play better when they're coming off a loss. They're coming off 2 straight wins. When they're a lot more motivated and locked in. I could really see the Heat win in game 1. Then we come back on the Celtics in game 2. Shark makes some good points. It could flip here, but that one day off, this was psychologically, I'm willing to go on this side, win or lose every single time, Shark. And Nicole, Heat -2, -1.5. I did a video yesterday. We were on it. If you like to take money line, it's up to you guys. But I'll go official with Heat minus. I already went official with -1.5, man. We on the Heat here. Heat culture. I'm in the locker room right now. You see what I'm saying? And they're telling me that their defense is coming to play, and that they know that they faced Boston before and beat them in the bubble. This is a new year now, but this game 1, they have to get off started to the right, on the right foot, especially number 1 seed if they're really having championship aspirations. Heat culture for me tonight. And let's cash. Shark, what you like?
Yeah, and continuing on that total, as much as I did say I thought there could be a contaminant with Boston being in a new environment here on the road as an underdog in game 1 as opposed to a home favorite off a long layoff, I do think the total stays consistent with what we saw in Miami in game 1 in both the previous series. The game against Atlanta, of course, it was a matinee, but Atlanta came out. They couldn't shoot. Miami also couldn't shoot. It was just an awful basketball game. And then you look at game 1 against Philly, it was very similar. Both teams could not score the basketball. And then it flipped to more of a pace in game 2. And I think we're going to see that in this series as well. I think you're going to see more points in the second game. And I think that's a cross-section between potentially Miami not seeing the basketball well off a break and potentially, if you say the tired legs, shooting the basketball for Boston. Top look for me here, I'm just going personal today. 2-unit banger drops tomorrow. Top look for me here is the under. Josh, top play, please.
2 top plays for me in this game. I'm laying with Miami here. I took the -2 at the open. I'm happy to lay the 2 and anything under a bucket here for the Heat. I'm also officially on the under here. I got it under 205.5. I think it's sitting at about a 204. a little bit of movement there, but I don't think you're going to lose too much value just given how I'm projecting this game to play out anyway. If it's going to fall under, it's going to fall pretty much under 200. I don't think it's going to come too close to the actual final number here. So an under and a Miami -2 for me officially.
Yeah, I like it. And I can't finish this show without talking about some shirts, man. Jay and Shark shirts, still $10 off. And for this whole week as well, man, you get a free pair of J Money approved glasses, man. You get a free pair of J Money approved glasses with the Jay and Shark collab shirt. You see what I'm saying? 50% of the proceeds go to my guy Shark. On the other shirts, if you'd like to get one, I wouldn't talk you off as well. Shark got that nice Us Against the Bookie shirt on. Smack City, we got Let's Get Some Cash shirts as well, man. Those universal, no matter what sport you're betting. Wow, it's Us Against the Bookies, the realest saying ever. We always trying to get some cash. He trying to take these Celtics to Smack City. Let's get it, man. The free NBA picks every single day, guys. We went through them. We're on the Heat. I know Shark is just going personal with the under there. Me and Josh official. He's official with the under. We're both official. Riding with the Heat. Jay and Punt collab. You see what I'm saying? We're going to Heat here -1. And I mean, we're huge Celtics fans. You see what I'm saying? But we kind of got to know when it's a flat spot for the team. Anything could happen. They could possibly bring them the momentum in from the last series, but I don't see it, especially up against this great Heat defense. You see what I'm saying? Defense wins championships. We will win today. It's Us Against the Bookies. Let's get some cash, guys. We're back tomorrow. Hit the like button, subscribe. We out.